Welcome to Today in History, your daily AI podcast. Here, you'll discover what made this day special, from famous events and breakthroughs to the birthdays and passing anniversaries of legendary figures. So, let's check in and travel back through time one day at a time.
Today, we're doing a massive data sync into, just one single day, October 16th. We've pulled together pretty much every major historical event, innovation, and birth recorded for this day from all our sources. It covers ancient empires, big scientific leaps, even modern headlines.
Yeah, and that's the challenge, isn't it? October 16th isn't just some random date. It seems to be this focal point for everything from like emperors taking power to really intense modern crises. So our job here is to try and pull out some common threads from this huge pile of information for you. We thought we'd tackle it thematically. So first, maybe the raw struggle for political power. Then second, those big moments in science and culture that sort of laid foundations. And finally, we'll look at the modern era, the crises, but also the amazing people connected to this date.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Let's start unpacking this, maybe where history often feels the most dramatic, those moments where state power is really on the line.
Right. So we kick off with maybe the ultimate end of power, October 16, 1793. The execution of Queen Marie Antoinette during the French Revolution. I mean, that wasn't just a death, was it? It felt like the state making a final, very public statement about the monarchy itself.
Exactly. But what's really striking is how often the same date marks the exact opposite kind of definitive moment, the claiming of power, the establishment of legitimacy. If you go way back centuries earlier, 690 CE, you have Empress Wu Zetian. She takes the throne, declares herself ruler of the Chinese Empire, leading the Tang dynasty, and she's still the only officially recognized female emperor in all of Chinese history. It's quite something. Wow. So you've got ultimate power being claimed or totally revoked right there on October 16th. And that theme sort of challenging the norms, it pops up again in Poland in 1384. Jadwiga is crowned, but not as and she's crowned King of Poland, which is, it's a very deliberate legal move, isn't it? Saying her political authority trumped any gender expectation.
It really is. That's a heavy concentration of events, all about political finality, power claimed or lost. But, if we look beyond just human political struggles, October 16th also seems to be a day for massive destruction, structural collapse almost.
Yeah, you see that with natural disasters, right? Nature flexing its muscles. Back in 1780, there was the Great Hurricane. It finally ended on the 16th after raging for 6 days, and the death toll was just staggering, somewhere between 20,000 and 24,000 people killed across the Lesser Antilles. And then much later, in 1942, another huge storm hits the Bay of Bengal, kills maybe 40,000 people near Kolkata.
And it wasn't just nature. Even the symbols of human power weren't safe. Like in 1834, a huge fire burns down much of the old Palace of Westminster in London, the very heart of the British government. So this date, it seems to carry this recurring theme of sudden, violent change, whether from nature or human actions.
That intensity really builds, doesn't it? Leading right up to something like the origins of the American Civil War. October 16th, 1859, John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry, Virginia. That wasn't just some small incident. It was a deliberate attempt by an abolitionist to kickstart an armed slave uprising. It was kind of the spark that pushed the whole country past any hope of a peaceful political solution.
Right. We've seen the sheer power of monarchs, rebels, even hurricanes. But maybe let's shift gears now. Let's look at a different kind of power struggle, humanity's fight against, suffering and maybe ignorance.
Okay, yeah. If that first part was about volatility, political and physical, this next bit feels more like pure progress, transformative stuff. October 16th, 1846. This sounds like a date that really changed medicine forever.
Oh, absolutely. That's the day William T.G. Morton first publicly demonstrated ether anesthesia during surgery. I mean, think about it. The breakthrough that finally made complex surgery possible without agonizing pain. That's a massive landmark, a huge step in conquering physical suffering.
And what's kind of wild is that just 3 years before that, 1843, same date, October 16th, there's this equally huge leap, but totally abstract. William Rowan Hamilton comes up with quaternions, this three-dimensional system of complex numbers.
Right, and it sounds really abstract, doesn't it? Quaternions. But this math turned out to be absolutely essential. It's the bedrock for 3D computer graphics, for motion tracking and VR headsets, for calculating rotations for satellites, even modern video games. It's everywhere now.
So you've got this incredible combination on the same date. On one hand, immediate physical relief from pain with anesthesia, and on the other, this deep abstract idea quaternions that unlocks all sorts of future tech. It really shows the dual nature of progress happening on this day.
And progress needs structure, right?
Right.
It needs institutions. So this date also sees the founding of major educational bodies. Queen's University up in Canada, founded back in 1841, and then Brigham Young University in Utah, founded in 1875. Building the foundations for future knowledge.
Okay, now for a cultural moment that, well, it basically defined a huge chunk of the 20th century, didn't it? The birth of a media giant. 1923, Walt Disney and his brother Roy start the Disney Brothers Cartoon Studio.
Right.
That one founding, October 16th, that's the tiny seed that grew into, the Walt Disney Company today. Just think how many millions of hours of entertainment globally trace back to that single day.
It's staggering. And alongside that entertainment explosion, you have something quite different in 1916, a really critical push for health and autonomy. Margaret Sanger opens the very first family planning clinic in the U.S., a really foundational moment in the whole history of reproductive health care and women's rights advocacy.
Right. Moving into the 20th century on October 16th, things get pretty heavy. World War II casts a huge shadow here. You've got the establishment of the Warsaw Ghetto in 1940, which trapped hundreds of thousands of Jewish people. And then, just 3 years later, 1943, same date, the raid on the Roman Ghetto, Nazi forces rounding up and deporting over 1,000 people.
It's brutal. And then the official reckoning for some of those atrocities arrives again on October 16th, 1946. That's the day the Nuremberg trials concluded with the executions. 10 high-profile Nazi defendants hanged. Figures like Hans Frank, Wilhelm Keitel. It was meant as this huge global statement about accountability for war crimes.
But the tension, the conflict, it definitely didn't end there. This date, October 16th, marks the official start of the Cuban Missile Crisis. So October 16th, 1962, President Kennedy gets the news. The chilling-proof U-2 spy plane photos showing Soviet nuclear missiles being set up in Cuba. That one briefing kicked off those 13 days where the world basically held its breath right on the edge of nuclear war.
Right on the brink. And almost in parallel, showing how the global power balance was shifting. Just 2 years later, October 16th, 1964, China detonates its first nuclear weapon. That changed everything in terms of global military strategy, particularly in Asia.
And adding to that instability, you see this targeted political violence happening outside the big superpower showdowns. Like in 1951, Liaquat Ali Khan, who was the very first prime minister of Pakistan, he's assassinated in Rawalpindi. So October 16th just keeps showing up with these moments of instability, attacks right at the top levels of government.
Yeah, it's intense. Yet somehow, even in the middle of all that conflict, you still see these powerful cultural and progressive moments breaking through. Think about 1968, one of the most iconic images in Olympic history, right? Tommy Smith and John Carlos giving the Black Power salute on the medal podium, a hugely powerful, instantly global act of protest. And it cost them dearly. They were kicked off the U.S. team immediately.
Such a powerful moment. And then on the public health side, you find one of the world's really great triumphs, October 16th, 1975. That's marked as the date of the last known natural case of smallpox. A little 3-year-old girl, Rahima Banu, in Bangladesh. Our case basically signaled the beginning of the end for that horrible disease, leading to its total eradication.
Incredible achievement. And actually, before we move on from this era, just a quick note on sports, tying back to Pakistan. In 1952, on October 16th, Pakistan played its first ever official Test cricket match against India, so establishing its presence on the world sporting stage right in the midst of all this global turmoil.
It really feels like this date, October 16th, is just a magnet for people who completely changed the game in politics and culture. Let's start with maybe the giants of creativity. You've got Oscar Wilde, the amazing Irish playwright and poet, born in 1854, and Eugene O'Neill, the great American playwright, born in 1888. I mean, these guys fundamentally reshaped how stories are told.
Absolutely. And then you have the architects of nations, key political founders born on this day too. David Ben-Gurion, Israel's first prime minister, born 1886, and Michael Collins, the crucial Irish general and politician, born 1890, real nation builders.
And the Nobel Prize connection is really strong too, isn't it? People born on this day, people awarded, even people who died. Austin Chamberlain, who won the Peace Prize, born this day. Gunter Grass, literature laureate, also born today. And thinking about peace and rebuilding, General George Marshall, the Marshall Plan, he won the Peace Prize, and he died on October 16th, 1959.
Right. And you also have Peace Prize winners like Archbishop Desmond Tutu, awarded in 1984. What a figure. And Dr. Abdus Salam, the brilliant Pakistani physicist, he won the Nobel for Physics in 1979. And Marty Ahtisaari, former Finnish president and another peace laureate, he just passed away recently. in 2023 on this date. Plus, Henry Kissinger and Leigh Cott were awarded the Peace Prize in '73, though so famously declined it. It's quite a list.
And it keeps going with well-known figures born today. Angela Lansbury, the actress, 1925. Hema Malini, Indian actress and politician, 1948. More contemporary folks, too. Tim Robbins, the actor, 1958. Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, 1962. And even current sports stars like Charles Leclerc, the racing driver, and Naomi Osaka, the tennis player, both born 1997.
And the date stays relevant right up to the absolute present. Our sources flagged the very recent death in 2024 of Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas, which just underlines, again, how high-stakes political conflict seems to culminate somehow on October 16th. And Liam Payne, the singer from One Direction, also passed away on this date in 2024.
So many connections. What about observances? What's marked globally today?
Well, a big one is World Food Day. It commemorates the founding of the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, back on October 16th, 1945. So it's a day focused on tackling hunger, a huge global challenge.
And in Poland, it's Pope John Paul II Day, right? Commemorating the day, Cardinal Karol Wojtyła was elected Pope in 1978, which was just massive, wasn't it? The first non-Italian Pope in centuries. A huge moment for the Catholic Church and for Poland. There's also Bosses Day in the U.S., a bit lighter, perhaps? Hashtag outro. Okay, so we've covered, over 1,000 years of history packed into one day, October 16th. It really feels defined by these huge extremes, doesn't it? You've got ultimate political power being executed like Marie Antoinette or claimed like Empress Wu. You've got humanity conquering pain with anesthesia, developing abstract math like quaternions. And then at the same time, you have the world teetering on the brink with the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's just...
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I think the main takeaway for you listening is how this single date, which feels like it should be random, keeps acting like this historical tipping point. It's a moment where that balance between progress and, well, maybe primal conflict gets dramatically reset. You see amazing creation, Disney starts, anesthesia is demonstrated, quaternions are invented, and then you see profound destruction or judgment. So Nuremberg executions, those devastating hurricanes, political assassinations like Khan or Sinwar, they're all stacked up right here.
So if October 16th is a day where humanity made these foundational leaps, pain-free surgery, the math behind modern computing, but it also hosted the trials for the worst war crimes and the start of near apocalypse, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Does this date somehow represent a historical convergence point where our best impulses, our capacity for creation, slam right up against our capacity for destruction and maybe for judgment? That's maybe something for you to think about as you reflect on this deep dive.
That's all for today's episode of Today in History. Thanks for listening. Join us again tomorrow to uncover more moments that shaped our world. Until then, keep learning, stay curious, and make history in your own way.